freedom and respect. Canada de continuer à innover les prochaines décennies.
How did you get accredited IATAX? Because your name or even the agency is not on any list. I don't know how you got in.
Yeah, I did talk with everybody when I got in. They let me wait in the room. I've been searched by the dog.
Oh, ils l'ont cherché,
dans le fond.
People should really watch the full version of that video as opposed to just the snippet we gave here, because Alexa was having none of it. Yankee was having none of it. And the boss, Ezra Levant, was in beast mode in the last 30 seconds or so of that video. So you get to see a lot of rebels exactly the way you expect them to be. And that is doing their best to speak truth to power and not allowing themselves to be bossed around by these gatekeepers for Justin Trudeau.
Speaking of power and censorship, folks, why don't we go to a video clip of our fantastic new journalist in Quebec, Alexa. She tried to scrum Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. You know, the guy back in 2015 that promised this was going to be the most transparent government in the history of Canada. And, well, the predictable happened. Check it out.
Un papier qui disait que c'était la porte 220B qu'il fallait se présenter avant midi, avant la fermeture des portes.
Bon.
Puis là, je pense que on s'est mal fait informer.
Par où vous avez passé?
En bas. Dans le fond, c'est la dame en bas qui nous a dirigés jusqu'ici. Puis
Bon, on va s'installer là-bas.
Parfait.
S'il te plaît. Puis, on a d'autres médias.
Ouais, c'est ça.
Ils sont tous à l'entrée en bas. Hein.
C'est ça, parce que je comprenais pas pourquoi les gens, parce que c'était vraiment clairement dit que si on n'était pas là avant midi, il n'y avait pas de moyen de rentrer. Donc, on n'a pas voulu manquer notre chance.
Bon,
Parfait.
we're early.
We are earlier than the rest of the people.
And deserve democracy, freedom and respect. Canada de continuer à innover les prochaines décennies.
How did you get accredited IATAX? Because your name or even the agency is not on any list. I don't know how you got in.
Yeah, I did talk with everybody when I got in. They let me wait in the room. I've been searched by the dog.
Oh, ils l'ont cherché,
Dans le fond, j'ai juste passé, en fait, je suis allée où la porte qu'on m'avait envoyée en tant que média.
C'est ça, parce que là, je me demandais, parce que moi, on vérifie quand même les gens qui se sont accrédités. Puis vous, votre nom et l'agence n'est pas sur la liste. Je ne sais pas pourquoi ils les ont laissé rentrer. C'est une erreur de notre part. Je ne suis pas sûr pour une question, par exemple. On va attendre combien de temps qu'on a, mais on va faire d'autres agences avant, puis s'il reste à la fin, oui.
They don't want me.
This is further proof that Mr. Justin Trudeau filtered the media that he wants to receive questions. And when I arrived to ask my question, because they actually say yes, we give you the authorization to allow you a question at the end.
Oh, I'm not hurting. Where are you with?
Register first, please. I think we're going to go with everybody for a question anyway, so he said 30 minutes, but I'm going to go more.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's a guy who bring me in, so I would have a chance to say.
And you know what? At the end, they closed the microphone in my face. So I was like trying to talk, but it had no sound going out. So I realized that they were lying to me. Make me wait for my question during the time that they were organized, the fact that they were closing everything, for not authorizing me to ask my simple question to Mr. Trudeau.
They cut it. They cut it. They cut it. They cut the microphone for not letting me talk. and they agree me that I was able to ask my question.
Coward, little coward.
In addition, as you may have noticed, the man who did not want to identify himself and who lied to and manipulate me is in fact Terry Gillen, who is the PMO staffer Justin Trudeau media liaison and former head of the Parliament press, who had body checked Keane in a hockey ring during he was covering the Prime Minister's speech with the Indigenous
Prime
leader
Minister, how can
in
anyone here actually
Saskatchewan.
trust you, given that you kicked the only Indigenous woman out of cabinet who's ever stood up to you?
Mr. Trudeau does not wish to
Prime
be
Minister, how can
confronted
anyone here trust
with
you?
the
How can
real
anyone trust you?
questioning, and he formed team around him in order to filter the media.
Anyone here trust you? How can anyone here trust?
Again, I got to tell you, the last time I saw Terry, it was just before the world went to hell in a handbasket with COVID. It was February 2020. It was at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. There were some Liberals there to make some pompous speech on something. I went down there to cover it. And he was actually very nice to me. Which is not to say that he allowed me to ask a question.
No.
I mean, he was cordial. He didn't body check me like Ian received in that. I think that was in Saskatchewan, wasn't it? A hockey rink.
Yeah.
But you know, I think this is a dual-edged sword. Terry is playing with, because if he's going to be outright lying, then we should never listen to him, acquiesce to any demand, acquiesce to any courtesy ever again, because it's all so much steaming BS. And I mean, what harm would it have been for Alexa to get 2 questions in to the Prime Minister? But like I said, Sheila, when it comes to the most transparent government in Canadian history, it's actually the precise opposite, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Terry knew exactly who Alexa was, knew exactly who Yankee is. That's his job, to know who we are and stop us from asking questions. That's exactly his job, to facilitate the puffball questions from the CBC and make sure that no prickly journalists are there to ask Trudeau a tough question that he can't obfuscate by batting his eyelashes and showing his socks. And, you know, for a government that fancies itself as feminist, I don't know how feminist it really is to cut the mic on an independent female journalist out there just trying to do her job and ask accountability questions. Prime Minister, because is not a crazy person. She asks good, tough questions people want answers to. And wouldn't it be great if the rest of the mainstream media did that? She was trying, and they decided no, cut the mic. They lied to her to buy her silence, to placate her. And then they cut the mic on her. It's sleazy. And if it happened to the CBC would be losing their minds.
Oh, for sure. But, you know, Sheila, talk about a tale of 2 leaders. I look back at Donald Trump when he was the president, and he would have pressers that would go on for more than an hour. And he wouldn't cherry pick, you know, friendly journalists. He would go out of his way to, like, the likes of a Jim Acosta of CNN. Yeah. And they'd get into this brouhaha. I think Trump liked it. To be honest, I think Jim Acosta liked it. Suddenly he became a household name. But the point is, there was a vigorous discussion, debate, Q&A, and it wasn't sanitized for your protection. And it was, at the end of the day, so entertaining. But this Prime Minister we have, Sheila, I think he is so fragile, that he is so intellectually thin, he can't handle that kind of back and forth hostile questioning.
Yeah, that's one good way of putting, like, he's a delicate idiot who's in way over his head. And they're so scared of one tough question that they will body check a journalist and lie to another. That's how delicate of an idiot Justin Trudeau is.
Unbelievable. Well, anyways, Alexa and Yankee, they did try their best. And but you know what? How Bush League was that?
Yeah.
Cutting the microphone. You know, it reminds me, I think it was around 1980, Nash the Slash, a local Toronto musician, opening for The Who at Exhibition Stadium. So there's about 80,000 people. And this is the biggest audience Nash the Slash will have or will ever have. And instead of coming off when he was supposed to, he's giving encores. And then the inevitable happened. The promoter just pulled the plug, and you see Nash the Slash singing, but nobody's hearing anything. So I guess that's, well, because you never want to upstage the main headliner at a rock concert. So I guess that could be the new nickname for Terrier. We'll appropriate Nash the Slash because he's slashing cables in order to prevent our precious Prime Minister, his delicate ears, from hearing a single prickly question from a Rebel reporter. How pathetic.
Well, and people should really watch the full version of that video as opposed to just the snippet we gave here, because Alexa was having none of it. Yankee was having none of it. And the boss, Ezra Levant, was in beast mode in the last 30 seconds or so of that video. So you get to see a lot of rebels exactly the way you expect them to be. And that is doing their best to speak truth to power and not allowing themselves to be bossed around by these gatekeepers for Justin Trudeau.
And what's sad, correct me if I'm wrong, Sheila, didn't Terry himself used to be a journalist?
Yeah, he was the head of the Parliamentary Press Gallery, from what I understand. So, but again, like you and I both know, especially in your dealings with the Parliamentary Press Gallery, you want to talk about gatekeepers. They control all the access to the Prime Minister, and it's a good gig if you can get it, because you get to protect your access to the Prime Minister, which means you have exclusive content that nobody else has, which is a great way to shut out your competitors. And that's not the way it should be. They're running a monopoly down there at the Parliamentary Press Gallery. And I'm old enough to remember when we used to be against monopolies, especially in news media.
Yeah. Oh, I remember commissions looking into when one paper or one company would buy another paper and shut down competition in a certain market. That would never be allowed. Now they just go up to the public trough like so many hogs at dinner time and just dine out. And well, I guess what men will do for money, eh, Sheila? I guess he's got a good gig and he's going to shut down journalism, whereas before he used to be part of the journalistic fabric. It's kind of sad in a way.
Oh, hi. That was a clip from our Rebel Daily live stream. It's hosted Monday, Wednesday, and Friday by the big boss man, Ezra Levant, and Tuesdays and Thursdays by me, Sheila Gunn Reid, and my good friend, David Menzies. On the live stream, we talk about the news of the day, we show some videos, and we interact with our viewers at home. We stream at 12 noon Eastern, 10 Mountain. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, Super U, and Odyssey.